It's beautiful.
It is, but it wasn't in Canmore where I was this
Really?
week. No, it rained the entire time.
Oh my God.
Except the morning of my sister's wedding, it cleared up.
Oh.
It was very nice. The light was great. Her wedding was beautiful.
Oh.
She was beautiful.
Yes.
I was a very proud big sister. It was awesome. So yeah, my little sister, all married and wifed up.
I love it. I love it.
I love love.
Makes me happy.
It does.
Congratulations to the new couple.
Yeah.
We send our love.
Bruin and Katie.
Oh, yay, love it. All right, everyone. Let's get this party started.
Yeah, I mean, we're going for a bit of a different
You
episode.
gotta do the intro.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Dina. Welcome to the Grim Curriculum. We still gotta intro this.
I mean, yeah, I just was kind of like,
You're ready to
let's
talk.
get into it. Yeah, this guy made me real mad.
I know, I'm angry.
So
it's different today. That's why it feels different, because we're not doing our usual, like, I mean, obviously we follow a script. We're not doing a script today. We've got notes. So if you, dear listener, have notes and you like this format, let us know.
yeah, absolutely. I'd be down to do something a little more like off the cuff once in a while.
A little casual.
Yeah. This story's like kind of recent and kind of sort of still unfolding at the same time, so we thought we'd do it a little bit differently.
We don't normally do the really current event kind of stuff on the
No.
regular show. It's more of an extra credit thing, because this was too much for just like an extra credit segment, so I wanted to do it.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, I mean, we'll get into it, but there's kind of some unusual coincidental reasons why this is mainstream popular
Yeah.
media right now, which
I've
we'll
got
talk about.
thoughts.
But yeah,
I have a lot to say. I feel like we might upset the some certain people we're going to talk about in a little bit. But today we are covering Wade Wilson. And I'm not talking Deadpool. I'm talking Wade Wilson.
yeah,
Ugh.
no. And I mean, if you guys have already heard of him, you've certainly seen him.
Ugh.
He kind of stands out in a crowd.
Yeah, a little bit.
The face tattoos, that'll do
Yeah,
it.
that'll make you unique.
Unique.
Unique. He's not unique. He's unique. All right. So he is all over the news. One of those cases where, you know, it kind of ties into what we talked about with Paul Bernardo, because reports were made against him. They were ignored by police. And I feel like if those reports were taken seriously, we wouldn't have to be talking about him today, because he wouldn't have done these murders.
Don't you just love that?
Yeah.
Happens far too often.
We'll get into those details in a little bit, but one thing I want to discuss before we even get into the whole mess that is Wade Wilson is the women that are simping over him. Ew, girls.
Ew,
what are you doing?
I was watching the court TV recordings earlier just to kind of catch up and stuff. I found it very difficult to actually look at the video as it was playing while his face was on the screen. He made me very uncomfortable.
He has those like dead eyes. Like it's like in Jaws, where like it's like a doll's eyes.
Absolutely. And I mean, the skull and swastika face tattoos surely do not help the situation.
No, they don't do it for you, hey?
No, absolutely
no, right?
not.
Who would have thought?
I mean, guys, I'm not against face tattoos, but I'm against those fucking face tattoos.
Yeah.
Ew.
You know what? Like it's crazy to me, because one thing I thought about was we talk a lot about women who lust over killers and things like that. And I feel like if we had TikTok back when Bundy or Ramirez were around, they would have done this. But I did a TikTok deep dive. I do not do TikTok deep. That's your job.
It is. I spend far too much time on TikTok.
The amount of like video edits of him where people are like, they're doing hearts where he's just like in court and they're trying to make it look sultry and stuff, or the comments that are like, oh, I love him, or like, oh my god, he's the hottest guy on the platform. The one thing I will say that kind of like saves it is like someone will comment that and someone else will be like, you're stupid. I'm like, yeah, you are, bitch.
You know what? Kudos to the ladies out there that love their like dark fantasy and stuff, not yucking your yum, but let it remain dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Let it remain in your books. If you want to have, you know, whatever fantasies, whatever scenarios are going on in your head with fiction, eat your heart out.
Keep it fictional.
Absolutely. This guy is a freaking monster, and his face reflects that.
It really does. It absolutely. And I'm not one to judge someone by their appearances, but it's like you said, you tattoo a swastika. Now he has 2 swastika tattoos on his face. He has, well, one on his face, one on his head, which we'll do. I've got kind of a breakdown of his tattoos that we're gonna
Oh,
do because
okay, I
there's a
like it.
lot of them.
Yep.
But yeah, it's he's one of those people where I have a sneaking suspicion we might get some hate over this episode from said Wade Wilson simps. We got hate over Paul Bernardo. Like, we're allowed to talk shit about these people, you guys.
You know, eh, what can I say? There's mommy issues, there's daddy issues. I don't know what kind of issues this is, but stay away from murderers, you guys.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So during my little deep dive, I found a lot of really fascinating essays and things like that done by psychologists and psychiatrists about hybriskophilia.
Oh.
And that is a diagnosed disorder where people have a sexual attraction to serial killers. So it's something
Oh.
I would like to do an episode on in the near future,
Mhm.
discussing it a little bit more, because that's obviously not the theme of today's episode. I don't want to spend all day talking about how people think he's hot, but it's a fascinating topic because it is so much more common than you would think.
Yeah, it seems to come up a lot. And I mean,
Yeah,
one thing to have a prison pen pal, I think that's totally fine. I think that could be really helpful for some inmates.
sure.
But again, there's a line to be drawn somewhere.
Well, apparently he's got about 3,500 women writing him. And another thing we'll get into in a little bit, but he is getting a lot of love. He doesn't deserve any love
No,
at all,
absolutely not.
friends.
Nope.
And we will get into why. So let's talk about his crimes, first of all.
Hmm.
So on October 7th, 2019, Wade Stephen Wilson murdered two women,
Yep.
Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, in Cape Coral, Florida. Now, one of the reasons this is such a big deal is those were 2 out of 5 murders that happened there that year.
Whoa.
So this isn't a place that, it's like New York or something like that where you're having hundreds or thousands of murders happening every year. This
Hmm.
was 2 out of 5. So this really struck the community. He met Christine for the first time at the Buddha, which is like a popular club, on October 2019. And the next day, while she was asleep, so he went home with her.
Okay.
He strangled her to death and took her car. Later that morning, he encountered Diane Ruiz while she was walking to work, and he asked her for directions. Once in his car, so he was a charmer. He was like, "Hey, I'm lost. Can
Whoa.
you come into the car? Can you show me this?" And here's the thing people need to keep in mind: the tattoos he didn't have when he committed these crimes.
Oh, I see. See, that I did not
A
know.
lot of people don't know that.
Because I was just actually going to ask, it wouldn't be my first move to get in a vehicle with a strange man with a half a skull and swastikas on his
No, have you
face.
seen what he looked like before the tattoos?
I mean, not really. I can
Okay.
envision
No,
it.
you can't. Trust me. No, I'm
Oh,
I'm gonna like you're hold on, I'm pulling out my phone. You're gonna be a little surprised here.
okay.
And I think it's really important for you to see what he used to look like.
One of the things while I was watching the court videos is I didn't find him, like I said, he made me uncomfortable. I think he's creepy. There's certainly something behind those eyes I didn't like, but I didn't find him particularly intimidating until he stood up. And he is quite a tall individual. And I could see how
Yeah.
that would be quite scary.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy because the tattoo, you don't think tattoos would like make that big of a difference,
Hmm.
but they do. This isn't the best picture. I'm just gonna show Charlotte real quick.
I mean,
He looks like a normal
he
dude.
does. He looks like a normal dude. And then something went horrifically
It
wrong.
really did. And I mean, this guy pulls up. You're not going to necessarily think, oh, he's a scary criminal. So she got into his car. He then strangled her. And when he saw that she hadn't died, he ran her over multiple times with that car.
So this is where I watched the coroner's witness test or
Okay.
the coroner's testimony in the trial, and he goes into great detail as they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal. The wounds that she had on her body were absolutely brutal. There's no other way I can describe it. He ran over her several
Oh
times.
my God.
The coroner, I forget his name, but he has a really nice way of speaking, the way he explains himself and everything. Yeah, absolutely horrific.
And you know what? Like, it's the people who are lusting after him. I invite them to always Gypsy Rose, I hate to bring her up all the time, but the photos of the crime scene were recently released, and those
Yes.
people who are like, "Yes, queen, go queen," it's like, look at what she was responsible for, because I think people tend to forget the reality of these situations,
Yes.
and the people that are saying like, "Oh, he's so cute, he shouldn't be locked up, he's so troubled," it's like, read the coroner report.
Absolutely. And actually, the one thing I will add on to as the coroner is giving his testimony, the photographs of her body are placed in front of the defense, his team,
Yep.
and he's looking at them and he's got a little smirk on his face.
Ugh.
He Now, see, here's the thing. He definitely appears to be enjoying it, but I don't know how much of this is like a show to make him look harder than he actually is.
I That's the vibe that I get from him watching, because I watched a whole video about like it was a body language expert that was like
Yes.
breaking everything down, and he sees these like tiny little things, like, him swallowing very hard, or his
Mhm.
breathing starting to
Yes,
become
and
more
there's
rapid.
certainly parts, especially during his sentencing, for example, where his eyes are darting
Yeah,
around.
he's nervous, but he's not showing it.
Exactly. Ugh.
So it's all a show. That same day, he attacked his ex girlfriend, Mila Montanez, and he tried to drag her into the car. She managed to escape, and police were called, and he was arrested on October the 8th, where he has since remained behind bars.
So his face tats are prison tats then.
Yes, and we'll get into those because
Okay.
it's interesting.
I was gonna say now, I know there is a lot of gang culture within prisons
Yeah.
and penitentiaries, and there was a part of me that wondered, as a white tatted up guy in prison, are some of these new tattoos like a
Hmm.
defense mechanism per se, or like, you associate yourself with certain gangs to make sure you have
Yeah.
protection.
We'll
Gotcha.
get into them because he's been a busy boy since he has been incarcerated. But
Okay.
before we go further, I want to talk about Wade himself, because
Okay.
one of the things the defense is using a lot is the defense is not saying he's not guilty. He has been found guilty of these crimes already. Right now, what's happening is they're trying to figure out whether or not to put him to death.
Yes, exactly.
So he was born on May 20th, 1994, which to me,
Oh
anytime
my God,
I
he's
know
younger
he's
than
I know,
I
right?
am.
That's what I'm thinking. Whenever I read
Jesus.
it, because again, we don't cover new cases. So when
No.
we're covering someone who's like younger than the two of us, I'm just like, you're a child.
Half the time, the guys we're talking about are either dead already
Yeah.
by either natural causes or, execution,
Yeah.
or, they're rotting away in jail and they're basically little old demented men at this point.
Like he was probably listening to the Backstreet Boys at some point.
Oh my God. He was probably watching like Teletubbies and shit when he was
Yeah.
younger. Bizarre.
So his parents and his dad has been a big part of the court
Yes.
proceedings. I saw
Okay.
a bit of kind of his testimony.
Yeah.
His parents were 14 and 15 when they found out that they were pregnant,
Hmm.
and they were 15 and 16 when he was actually born. His mother struggled with mental health issues and addiction. Her parents went to church with the Wilson family, who ended up adopting him.
Okay. Got it.
His adoptive family says that he was well adjusted. He was an active member of the family as a child. He was a really good kid.
Bizarre.
Yeah, he had, sometimes we cover people where it's, they grow up, it's a hard life, terrible things happen to them, but he had a really good childhood.
Okay.
So, a classmate of his described his adoptive parents as super friendly people, church going people who meant well and wanted better for him. One of the classmates said he had the world given to him. He had a nice house in the suburbs with his parents who adopted him. They had greyhounds and they had expensive vehicles, but they were not just about the material stuff. Their mindset was in the right place too. But for some reason on that course, something fell off. Something didn't make sense. Like it wasn't appreciated or it wasn't taken for granted.
Hmm.
So another classmate talks about an occurrence where he stole his parents' cars and he disappeared for 3 days.
Jesus.
And this person says, I remember everybody at school talking about it like, what was he thinking? His parents were loving, from what I've heard. Never actually met his parents, but I always thought about them and felt bad for them because I know they tried everything they could. That's what I remember hearing back then. I don't hear anything about them now, but I remember them trying really hard to keep him under control, and nothing that they did ever worked.
Okay.
So the shift happened when he was 13 years old.
So kind of around the puberty, like
Yes,
kicking off.
exactly. They said that he completely changed. He became paranoid, reclusive, and he says that this was when he started doing drugs.
Okay.
So on one occasion, he was paranoid and he felt people were watching his family and he started closing his blinds all the time. And they said that he became paranoid that there was this like entity in the garage.
I wonder, I mean, again, you may have more to say about this for sure. I'm sure psychologists and psychiatrists have evaluated him based off of all of this information.
Yeah.
You almost wonder if there's some kind of like schizophrenia or something going on, because the
Yeah.
rapid shift and then right around puberty as well can often be like a big catalyst for that as well.
Yeah. Now, what I do wonder, playing the devil's advocate here, is what the defense is trying to do right now is, again, they're not saying he's not guilty. They're like, yes, he
Mm,
did this, but he did this because of mental health reasons, and this is why he shouldn't be put to death.
right.
So some of this, I wonder, like, is it exaggerated? Is it true? What
What is the
exactly?
context of it?
Exactly. So at that age of 13, his adoptive father found drugs and he was put into juvenile hall for a day. He was released that next day and they were just like, okay, don't do it again.
Probably kind of more of like a scared straight kind of situation.
Exactly. So he was really good at school. He was even better at sports. But here is where it gets interesting. As a child, he did sustain multiple head injuries from sports, one of which resulted in
Oh.
a concussion.
I mean, that is one of the things on the triangle of serial killers: head
Yes.
injuries, bedwetting, and starting fires.
Yes. So at age 18 and again at 20, he sustained more head injuries from various car accidents. So
Whoa.
his head is not a happy place.
Apparently not.
Yeah. Now, the CT scans that he got during that time never showed any fractures or bleeding, but they're arguing MRIs were never performed and those show more detailed
Mm.
images.
Hmm.
So there could have been something there. They just didn't see it. As a young adult, he was in prison over and over again. He was charged in 2010 for 20 different crimes, including assault and fraud.
Whoa.
So
At
now,
like 18, 19
yeah,
years old.
yeah.
Holy cow.
So, I mean, he started young
Yeah. Well, that's
and
true.
he's
Yeah.
still young. Like, that's the thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I guess. So what is he now? 30? Because I'm 31 and I'm born
yeah,
in 1993. So holy
yeah.
cow.
So now, when he was incarcerated for these murders, he tattooed a swastika on his head and his face. When he was asked about this in a prison phone interview, he did not address the topic.
Hmm.
Now, his biological father said that at the age of 18, he reached out to him to connect because they hadn't really spoken.
Okay.
They didn't maintain a relationship at all. They spoke for the first time when he was 18.
Wow.
And Wade basically reached out because he wanted money.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, I want to reconnect with you. It was basically give me money. And anytime that he would reach out, it was because he needed money.
Okay, so not even good intentions right off the bat.
He has multiple mental health diagnoses. He has depression, anxiety, schizoaffective disorder, which is a combination of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia,
Oh, there you go.
defiance disorder, and antisocial personality disorder. He has self reported depression and mania in prison. And he also says that he was diagnosed at some point with ADHD.
That is quite a laundry list of
Yes.
neurodivergence.
Yes. And he also says that at one point in prison during the early days, he was jumped where he sustained another head injury.
Which, I mean, I'm not saying that I feel particularly sorry for him, but being attacked like that can also cause PTSD. And then, like you
Absolutely.
say, along with another head injury of many.
So during the trial, the defense has presented two expert witnesses, a neuropsychologist and a forensic psychiatrist. They did testing on him and they said that looking at the CT scans, there is, a lot going on. He has significant frontal lobe impairment, which
Whoa.
affects executive functioning,
Yep.
which is frontal lobe kind of directed, which is where your impulse control
Your
is.
personality, your impulse control, all of that.
Yes. They also said that his CT scans, once again, did not show fracture or injury. But again, they didn't do these MRIs.
Gotcha.
So his attorneys, like I said, there's not saying that anything happened. What the attorney said was, I'm not arguing insanity. I'm arguing the state is claiming premeditation. I'm arguing he's whacked out of his mind for any of this.
I mean, based on that testimony so far, I would certainly say mental health is playing a part here.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I still don't think it excuses what he did.
You know what? If he was like fine for his whole life
Mhm.
and then he snapped and this happened, I would believe it. But
Yes.
we have seen in him since the age of 13 escalating behavior. And that's why I don't necessarily buy it. Does he have mental health issues? Absolutely.
Mhm.
But I don't even think this may have been necessarily premeditative what he did. But when your brain is in a spot where he even admits, like, one of the reasons why he killed the women was so he could see what it was like.
I was going to ask what the motive was here
That's it.
because with the first one you said he stole the vehicle as well.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, okay, was it the murder just a byproduct of a robbery
Yeah.
essentially? But it appears that that is certainly not the case.
No, he just wanted to kind of see what it felt like. And then when he murdered her, again, he went on to murder another person. And
And
this was not
very
the first time he
quickly.
tried.
Oh,
We'll get into that
wow.
in a little bit. He has attempted to murder people in the past.
Okay, guys. So we have a pattern here.
That's
Come
just it. And
on.
that's why I don't buy it. And I'm going to say, like, do I think he should be put to death? I don't know. The death penalty is such a complicated thing. I don't agree with it. I think in the cases of certain people, Danny Rolling is a really good example where, he deserved it
Oh,
because that
yeah.
was a monster who knew exactly what he was doing. Ted Bundy, absolutely. However, I don't think that he should have a life sentence where he gets to just like get pornography mailed to him all the time or
No.
money sent, because a lot of these women that are mailing him, they're sending him a shit ton of money, so he's just having a fine old time.
Is that are they just finished or filling his like commissary kind of
Yeah.
thing? Okay, I was gonna say because I'm sure there's laws around like sending
Oh, yeah,
cash.
yeah, yeah, they're just putting it on his books.
Got it.
So, I mean, does that mean he's, like, making money? No, but it means that he can buy pretty well everything that he needs to be as comfortable as possible while he's in jail.
Totally.
And he's getting fucking, like, Polaroid titty pics sent to him. That's not right.
I don't even think that should be allowed.
Right? And you know what? Like, it has been proven that a lot of men who are violent are less violent when they're able to enjoy themselves.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
put it
I
that
was
way.
like, where I was
You
like, how are we
relieve
gonna phrase
relieve the
this?
tension.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do I think that should be allowed in prison? I say fucking go for it, whatever, just as long as no one has to see it. But I don't think that this is something that he should be getting from the outside.
No, absolutely not. I think people like this should be kept in their cells with very little communication except with their lawyers until they are sentenced or whatever
Yeah.
happens.
Now, I want to talk about the tattoos. And
Yes.
the reason why I want to talk about them, obviously, they're very jarring.
Very prominent.
Yes, but one of the things that the defense argued was, should he be able to cover his tattoos in court?
Okay, well, that was going to be one of my questions regarding it
Yeah.
because surely a intimidating visage like
Mhm.
his would sway a jury in a
Absolutely.
murder case, right?
And the thing is, gang members oftentimes when they have tattoos like this are allowed to cover them up
Right.
because it is hard for a jury to give an unbiased approach to a case
Hmm.
when you have fucking swastikas all over your
Well,
face.
that and literally you've murdered two women, potentially more, and you have basically the face of the Grim Reaper.
Right?
I mean, yes, the skull is only on half of his face, but you take a look at him and tell me it wouldn't
Yeah.
sway your decision.
So when he was arrested in 2019, he did have neck tattoos,
Mhm.
but he didn't have anything on his face. So the tattoos themselves, he has the number 14 on the right side of his neck, which is for the white supremacist mantra known as the 14 words, which are, we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children.
Bunch of white supremacist dog
And it
whistles.
gets worse. He has the number 88 on the left side of his neck,
Mhm.
which is the numeric code for the eighth letter of the alphabet, H times 2, HH for Heil
Heil Hitler.
Hitler. The combination of the numeric codes 1488 is also used commonly by white supremacists. He has the two swastika tattoos. Obviously, we know what that means. He also has TTG on the right side of his forehead, which allegedly stands for either time to go or train to go, which says you're ready to fight.
Ugh.
He has the words bred for war in big letters under his chin, as in ready to fight once
Oh,
again.
grow up.
He has the letters NMM on his left jaw. Those ones are a little bit of a question mark, but what they think is that it is in relation to Deadpool.
No
Yeah,
way.
Deadpool at one point in the comics gets that tattooed on himself to remember M Day, which is the day that the mutants lost their power. So he is a bit of a comic book
What a
nerd.
nerd.
And he also has another one's very obvious is around his left eye, he has the words "Why so serious," which is likely
Oh
a
my
reference to
god.
Heath Ledger, obviously.
Grow
And
the
then
fuck
under that,
up.
he has ha ha ha. So obviously a Joker tattoo. Um I hate it. I hate everything about this guy, you guys. Like
Bitch
it's
ass.
like
Like, come
it's so,
on.
you know, if he wasn't so deplorable, it would just be very cringe.
The one thing, it's funny, I heard something said about white supremacists just a little while ago, and it was basically like, it's 80 years and you still can't come up with anything better. You're still referring to a guy that died in World War II. Like, come on, guys.
Oh my god. So his defense attorney Kevin Shirley talked to Newsweek about his client's appearance. He said, "Mr. Wilson is very intimidating, but also appreciates good representation. Once he realized what we were doing for him, he was not adversarial and has never been with the rest of our staff. Mr. Wilson created his appearance while in custody awaiting trial. He has never expressed his reasons. My colleague successfully argued for a procedure to cover up the tattoos. However, when that did not work, I attempted to use that to show his mental instability."
So Wade Wilson refused to cover his tattoos.
Um,
Or was it
he was
just,
not allowed.
oh, I see. Okay. It's
He
not
thought
that
it was a good idea. When they
oh,
said like, "Oh,
okay.
you should cover your tattoos," he's like, "Yeah, all right." Now, one of the videos that I love is it's like a 3-second clip, but it's a it's a video of Kevin Shirley seeing the tattoos for the first time, and he
Oh,
kind of just like he's sitting there. If you're watching on Patreon, I'll do my best impression. Charlotte, you're Wade Wilson.
okay.
I'm Kevin Shirley. He basically goes, and he's this like old white fat dude, and it's just so
Recoils.
funny because like this defense attorney, again, we have talked about how difficult it must be to defend
Yes.
these people. I can't even imagine how hard his job is. And, again, he's not trying to get him off at all. Like, he's not trying
No,
to
no,
say, like,
no,
he
for
belongs
sure.
to be free. He's saying, just don't kill the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's his job as a defense attorney to make sure that the trial is fair and that his client
Yes.
is represented fairly within the realm of the law. So, yes, he clearly is guilty, but like you say, it's his job to make sure that the sentencing is fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I can't imagine this poor attorney is probably like, I got experience. I've helped people
Oh my
before,
God. And then you see him.
and then he looks at him and is like, oh, Jesus
Fuck.
Christ, this is going to be so much harder than I thought it was going
Right.
to be.
So, like I said, Wade has been a busy boy. On September 30th, 2020, him and his cellmate Joseph Katz allegedly attempted to break out of the Lee County Jail.
Okay.
Another inmate told a guard that his cellmate Lauren Curtis Sawyer had received a note from Wilson asking him to arrange a ride out of here. His Wade's letter requested that Curtis arrange a getaway car either today or tomorrow at 1 or 2 a.m. The reporting inmate claimed that Wilson and Curtis were related through the prison gang, the Unforgiven, which is believed to be, surprise, surprise, a white supremacist gang.
Go figure.
Officials searched their cell and they found that the window's metal frame had been removed and that there were several cracks in the thick security glass. A metal stool that had previously been bolted to the concrete floor had also been removed.
So it basically just looked like someone had a big old toddler tantrum in that room.
Very accurate. He also stands accused of being involved in an attempt to traffic drugs into the jail.
Oh my God.
Ziploc bags were discovered outside the prison and connected to the case. They tested positive for meth. While in
Jesus.
jail, he wrote several letters to NBC2 for an interview. And he said that he was being framed for the murders by an organized crime ring that he was a part of. He said they were responsible for human trafficking and drug trafficking. Authorities for the county said that was a bullshit.
Well, I mean, I guess you'll try anything when faced with a death penalty.
Yes, and while in jail, another inmate tried to hire him to orchestrate a murder hit on this inmate's ex. He snitched.
My God, you can't trust nobody these days.
No, you really can't. So, like, he's trying to traffic stuff, he's doing all this stuff, but when things come into play for him, he is a tattletale. Now, I do want to talk about Miss Kelly Matthews.
Okay.
She is all over TikTok. Her videos are very interesting. One thing I will say, I was watching her videos and I'm hearing a bird in the background, and I was like, that sounds like a cockatiel. She has cockatiels like me.
Ah.
So, anyways, she's saying one of the things that really pissed me off is one of the first things she says is women are attacking her online, being like, you're just a 3 who got a 10 and he dumped you, so you're mad. And I'm just like, are you fucking
Lord
serious right now?
have mercy. Ladies, let's support each other,
Can we
please.
not? Like,
Let's
seriously.
support one another.
Yeah.
Let's not support shitty fucking murderous violent ass white supremacist men, please and thank you. I feel like it's not too much
Why
to
do you
ask.
even have to say that?
I shouldn't have
No,
to.
you
The
shouldn't.
bar is in hell, ladies.
Right? Exactly. The bar is low and you are tripping over it
Oh
and
my
landing on your
god.
face, you dumb women. Like, and that's the thing is I see these comments, I'm like, "Oh my god." At least there's people in the comments that are like, "You're stupid. You're stupid. What is wrong with you?" Because it's you know, if you're going to defend somebody, we talk
Mhm.
about the Innocence Project a lot.
Yes, of course.
Defend some of those people. Don't
Yes.
defend Wade Wilson who's like, "Yeah, I killed them bitches."
Yeah. There's people that deserve far more attention and compassion and not this ass bag.
So Kelly Matthews is his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
She dated Wilson in 2018 to 2019, and she says that the first 6 months he was fine.
Oh, isn't that always how the story
And
goes?
so statistically, when someone is a narcissist or abusive or something like that, usually that quote unquote mask only lasts about 3 months
Yes. Yeah.
and then it comes off.
Yeah.
So sometime in 2019, this changed. He tied her up. He drove her hours away to the Florida Keys and he sexually assaulted her.
Oh my god.
She drove back and reported it to the police immediately. However, they failed to take it further. And she also says that he didn't tell her his real name at any point during this. He
Whoa.
introduced himself as Steven, and she only found out when she found out that he also had a child,
Oh my
and he
god.
got a bunch of mail to the house under Wade.
And she's like, who the fuck is Wade?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Also, you
god.
have a kid? What?
Yeah, that would be a rude awakening, that's for sure.
So, when he discussed the daughter, he didn't really say much about it. She stated that a previous girlfriend of his also reported that he sexually assaulted her as well, and those charges were also dropped,
Oh,
and they didn't go further.
oh my god. We need to do freaking better when it comes to this stuff because this is
Now,
ridiculous.
this I don't know if it's true, but at one point she says that he dated a man at some point and
Oh,
stabbed him. That's not. I'm gonna say that is hearsay. I don't know if that actually happened.
it doesn't seem out of the realm of
It
possibility.
doesn't, right? This whole thing is crazy because she also says at the beginning of the relationship, she knew that he wasn't doing drugs. However,
Okay.
he lived at a halfway house.
Ah,
And she was like, "Oh, why are you living at a halfway house?" And he's just, "My parents agreed that it would be better for me to live here," which, like, girl, okay.
big red flag.
Yeah, exactly. She is adamant about the fact that she has a really good career.
Okay.
She doesn't really drink and she doesn't do drugs. She's like, I tried weed twice, wasn't for me. So she's very clean.
Okay.
She found something in a backpack of his and actually ended up posting it on Reddit, being like, I found this in my man's bag. What is it? It was a crack pipe.
Oh boy.
It's crazy. So, when she found the crack pipe at home, she confronted him about it and he freaked out and he broke the door down and punched the wall a bunch of times. That was the first time she had seen him be violent.
Okay.
And listen, if he's gonna hit the wall,
He's gonna hit you.
exactly. So she doesn't know too much. There might be multiple kids.
Wow.
We know that there's for sure one, there might be two, there might be more. We don't really know for sure. Um, he admitted to the killings in the original police interview to his dad and then to his ex-girlfriend, Mila, the other girlfriend.
And was this that was his biological dad? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he recanted it.
Oh.
His biological dad did testify against him in
Mhm.
trial. And he noted that when Wade was telling him about the killings, he says, he was excited. He was wanting me to feel the same way he was feeling. He would have done it again. He is right where he belongs in custody.
It's really interesting too when you see his biological dad testifying in court
Yeah.
as well. And it takes a very brave person, I think, to testify against their own children,
Yeah.
especially when he is as violent as he is.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Kelly, they
Mhm.
had met on a dating site, and one thing she is very adamant about, she says, "I did not see a swastika on his head. If I did, I would not have dated him because I am not racist."
Fair statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also talks, this is a really interesting video. It's only about 10 minutes long, but she kind of goes through everything because she does talk about the women that are attracted to him.
Mhm. What are her thoughts on
She says, "You
this?
know what? I understand he's attractive. Obviously, I was with him, and one of the things that kind of got me was his looks."
Mhm.
And she tells women not to write to him because he's not going to change, but he is going to get money out of it.
Yeah. He's you know what? It's not that he is using you per se because they're writing to him of their own wills,
Yeah.
but he does not give two fucks about you.
No, he doesn't. He stole from her numerous times. He ran away with one of her friends to Texas,
Oh my god.
and he stole her gun.
Oh dear.
She reported it to police, and they didn't do anything about it.
Oh my
The
god.
detective in charge of her case was demoted.
Yeah, as he fucking should have
Yes,
been.
but really faced no charges,
Hmm.
no real punishment other than that demotion. Um, so one of the things that she says about the instance where he kidnapped her was, "This man drove through a McDonald's while I was tied up in the back of my car, naked, bound, and gagged. Literally, I had a shirt tied around my face. I had leggings in my mouth. Was My foot was broken because he slammed it in the door. So when I heard the trial of him doing that to Christina Melton, tying her up with her own clothes, it brought back a lot of feelings for me."
Wow. I can't I mean, Jesus Christ, that poor woman.
He also cheated on her a lot.
Go figure.
After the kidnapping, she did forgive him.
That takes a special kind of
Yeah.
soul because I freaking would not have.
Yeah. People are saying that it's because he is hotter than her. That's literally what she says. People are messaging her being like, "Of course you forgave him. He's hot. You're not." And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, the insensitivity. I think some people are so far up their own ass that they forget reality is reality.
100%. And I'm sorry that at some point in your fetid little life, someone made you feel like all of your worth was in your appearance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that that's all the value you think you have to bring to a
Yeah.
table. Fuck you guys.
It's terrible. The adoptive parents said that he had done things like this before. So he has assaulted other women. One of the last things that she says is, and I quote, "I want nothing to do with him until it's time to watch him fry, and I will be in the front row with a big old sign that says bye."
I can't fault her for that, to be honest with you. If someone did to me what he did to her, I'd be right there with her.
And the thing is, again, like I mentioned at the start of the episode, if police had taken these reports seriously, he would
This
not have killed these women.
Absolutely,
He would
this
be in
would
jail.
have a very different ending right now.
So the crazy thing is, I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around this, and I think this might come out in court or it might not. It might get buried. I don't know. The She had a rape kit done on her,
Right.
obviously.
Yep.
And other evidence was taken, photos, things like that. Because one of the things that he did was he bit her right here, like on the chin,
Oh,
and it's like a big bruise.
I
Like, he
bet.
really went at her. Now, a lot of the evidence from this assault vanished. It's
Hmm.
gone. And again, this is the case where the police officer in charge did get demoted. So it seems like there's some like weird inner workings that are happening here,
Mhm.
but he should have been in jail. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this case after talking about Paul Bernardo is it's the same thing. It's one of those things where if people had been paying attention to what was going on and had, done their jobs, these women would still be alive.
Absolutely. And though his previous partners may not have had to be re-traumatized, or I would imagine there's a certain level of survivor's guilt as
Of
well.
course.
Why did she deserve to die and not me, or what
Yeah.
have you? Fuck.
So, in regards to the death penalty, because what happened
Mhm.
was they were supposed to have an answer on July 23rd.
Yeah.
but it was delayed to August 27th. And we will update you guys on extra credit about this for sure.
Mhm.
It's going to be up to Judge Nicholas Thompson to decide whether death or life without parole sentences are going to be imposed. And the reason for that is two additional mental health experts were not able to modify their schedules to testify at the penalty phase proceedings. So it was just delayed. So
Mhm.
nothing too crazy there. Basically just a schedule thing that kind of delayed. And that's the thing with court. Like, you mentioned you've been watching a lot of the court TV stuff.
Yeah.
It is boring as
I mean,
hell.
it's a slog to get through. You find yourself kind of clicking through because in a lot of the sentencing, there's a lot of repetition as well,
Mhm.
right? So not only has he been charged with the murders of these two women, there's also certain things like theft of a vehicle and battery.
All
And
of that
so
stuff.
all of these things have to be repeated again and again. So it's like we, the jury, find him guilty in this charge, guilty, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth, repetitively over and over again. The one thing about his sentencing that was interesting to me is that he was found guilty on most counts by 9 out of the 12
Yeah.
jurors, which I thought was interesting. There's three very, I think, compassionate people on that jury that
Yes.
didn't think that he deserved to be sentenced to death, but
And you know what? I cannot even begin to imagine the responsibility and pressure that is placed on you when you're, you know, when you're called up to make a decision like that about another human being.
absolutely. And one thing the judge does state very clearly as well to the jurors when they are reading out the sentences and how they've deliberated and all that sort of stuff is that the jurors are free to speak with people over whether they voted, yes or no for the
Mhm.
death penalty. They're free to speak if they so choose. The judge said, news outlets are going to be asking you. There may be other lawyers and attorneys asking you questions, and you may answer these questions if you choose, but you do not have to. No one can make you answer that question outside of this courtroom. And I think that's very, very important
Yeah.
because when you're looking at someone like Wade Wilson, not only is he a interesting individual, let's put it that way,
Mhm.
he's now tied to white supremacist gangs and organizations, and they might retaliate on his behalf
Oh,
as
I'd keep my
well.
mouth shut.
Absolutely. I would, yeah, I wouldn't be blabbing.
No. So Kevin Shirley, again, one of his lawyers,
Hmm.
says there's a doctor that wants to do more advanced brain scans on him because, like I mentioned, the CT scans didn't show anything, so they want to do other tests. Now, the issue with these tests is that they cost about $10,000
I was
each.
going to say they're expensive, and who wants to spend that money on someone like Wade
Yes,
Wilson?
exactly. Another doctor says he just needs more time to run the tests on him, and they're different tests than the ones that were originally run on him. So there's
Hmm.
there's a lot of complicated stuff, and that's the thing. One of the reasons when we're discussing our cases that we don't go fully in depth to the trial stuff, or at least we usually don't, is because it is very convoluted. There's a lot there. There's a lot to go through. There's, people arguing with each other, and it is very, very complicated. We could spend 3 episodes in a 4-part series just talking about the court stuff.
Totally. I remember being a kid and, still having an interest in this sort of things. And I could never wrap my head around why a trial might take 2 years
Yeah.
or even more in some cases. Because I'm like, well, they're guilty. Just sentence them and have it over and done with. And
Yeah.
and then as you obviously learn more about how the justice system works in various countries, there's all the sentencing and the trial, and then there's
Mhm.
the appeals and the parole and all of this stuff, right?
And the thing too that they wanna do is they wanna make sure on both sides that he gets a fair trial,
Yes.
because what can happen is, let's say he does get sentenced to death. He can then appeal that saying, "Oh, I didn't get a fair trial because they didn't do these tests on me."
Absolutely. And it has to be done so by the book because
Yes.
otherwise, if there's any chance that like a mistrial could be called, then you start the process
Yeah,
all over again.
exactly. So, I mean, it is a very complicated case, but I think
Hmm.
all cases are very complicated in their own. It's never a cut and dry thing.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor by any means. We talk about this because it is of interest to us. We find it
Yeah.
fascinating. But we're very much laymen when it comes to the nitty gritty of
Oh,
all
yeah.
this stuff. We do our best to understand, but like by all means, if you have any insight on the case from, whether it be a legal point of view, or, if this is obviously happening in Florida, what are the Florida laws like?
Mhm.
How does that affect things? Because Florida's a pretty wacky place,
Oh,
as
yeah.
we've often talked about before. So, yeah.
It's this whole case is crazy, and to me, like, you have the craziness of the case itself, and then I hate to keep going back to his appearance. You have his appearance that makes it even wilder because
Hmm.
you can look at, like, 5 guys and one of them looks like Wade Wilson and you're gonna be like, "Whoa," like, that's the face you're gonna remember.
And it's interesting too, actually. On one hand, you have him tatted up, looking like a monster, intimidating, prison tats, all that stuff. So you have this very, like I said, intimidating, scary looking individual.
Mhm.
But then if he hadn't tattooed his face like that, objectively, people seem to think he's quite handsome.
Mhm.
How would that have swayed the jury slightly different if they thought, oh, like he's just a nice looking white boy?
I think it's interesting that you say that because I was thinking about that. It still didn't work out for Chris Watts.
No, that's very
You know what I
true.
mean? Like,
Very
I
true.
think, and I think that's a really good thing because one of the things that I was kind of thinking about while we were getting ready for this episode is like pretty privilege is a thing even when you're a criminal.
Y'all remember a few years back when there was that really good looking mugshot, and then the
Oh
dude got like a
yeah.
modeling deal and everything out of it?
Yeah.
Obviously, I believe he wasn't quite as notorious and prolific as our friend
I
Wade
want to
Wilson
look. I
here.
don't
Yeah,
remember what he
I
did, but
can't.
he was such. I remember even like Tyra Banks was talking
Yeah, he
about
had like
him.
very, very pretty blue eyes and just like a very, yeah, and he got a model deal out of it, I think. So, yeah, pretty privilege is a thing.
Jeremy Meeks was his
Yes,
name.
that's
Oh, he's on
right.
Instagram now. Former member of the Crips, arrested during a gang sweep. What did he do? What did you do, Jeremy?
I mean, he's a Crip, so
uh,
it's pretty hardcore.
Felony charges. Why won't it say what it was? What did you do, Jeremy?
Be real good looking in a mugshot, I guess.
Possession of a gun.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Convicted by a federal judge. Possession of firearm. He was sentenced to 27 months in federal prison.
Okay.
I think I don't want to say this for sure because I don't remember. I think at some point he had like some issues with assault, but that's not exactly what he ended up getting, caught for.
Got it, got it.
Yeah, he has been busy. He has been modeling.
Well, I don't think Wade Wilson's getting a modeling contract anytime soon.
I don't think he
I
is.
should surely freaking
Thank
hope not.
God. But it's a developing case. We don't usually cover developing cases
No.
on the regular show. It's very much an extra credit thing. But
Hmm.
like I said, as you can see, we've had a lot to say. This was a bit too much for for an extra credit
Yeah.
segment. So we wanted to talk about him.
Yeah,
And
but
yeah,
speaking of extra credit, though, we will update you as we find out what's going to happen to Mr. Wilson here.
absolutely.
It's so coincidental that all this is happening around the same time as the new Deadpool movie. I'm sure that has nothing to do with one another,
Yeah.
but it's funny timing.
It really is because when I was doing research for the episode, there were so many times where I'd like read a little bit and I'd be like, "Oh my god, oh, they're talking about Deadpool."
Yeah, literally. If you just type in Wade Wilson, you're not gonna get the Wade Wilson we're talking about. You have to go like Wade Wilson trial or like Wade
Yeah,
Wilson
there
murder.
was something where I don't remember exactly what it said, but it said something about like I don't. Oh my god, it's like he killed like a bunch of people, blah blah blah, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy." And I was like, "Fuck, it's Deadpool!" Like,
Who has killed everybody in the known
yes,
universe. So,
exactly. So
uh,
I mean, we'll keep y'all
yeah.
posted. Few things. Number one being, let us know how you feel about this episode format. Definitely chaotic.
Mhm.
Definitely a lot of us kind of just blabbing our opinions, which we
Yeah.
have a lot of.
Oh, always. It was kind of a nice, more relaxed episode. I, like I said, had my sister's wedding this week, so I've been insanely busy. Dina's been busy with a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a nice opportunity to one, look at something a bit more current,
Mhm.
just to see if we like that kind of thing or if you guys like that kind of thing, and just to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a break as well.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts and let
Yeah.
us know your thoughts on Wade Wilson. Again, that episode, Hybriscophilia, something I'm working on. It's in the works because
Hmm.
I do want to talk about it because it is very interesting. We're going to cover that. We've got a lot of big cases coming up. Another one is someone who I feel like kind of got a little bit of the pretty privilege thing happening while on trial. However,
Mhm.
it was a lady, so we'll
Yeah.
discuss her and how much she sucks in the very near
And
future.
yeah, she's kind of more of a modern one too. So
Yeah, we've got a few modern. I
yeah.
mean, we're gonna go old timey for sure in the next few weeks, but we've
Mhm.
got some more modern stuff. But it's all stuff that we've been wanting to cover for quite a while, so
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff that's been on the list.
Yeah.
So,
A couple things. Don't forget to follow us on all of the social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Am I missing anything?
you can follow us on Patreon. Speaking of,
Oh, yeah.
we do have a free tier where Dina throws up our early episode reveals every week.
Yeah, I
So
threw up on this
yeah,
one.
throw up phrasing. Or you can sign up for any of our tiers if you like to see the video episodes of our episodes. I'm repeating myself a lot today. You can see them on Patreon, and if you want to sign up for a 1 week free trial, you can do that too.
Check it out. Honestly, it's fun. I love our little episodes. You get to see us.
Yeah, we're starting to really there's a lot of really good content on there, and we're
Yeah.
building it up more and more every time. So
It's a
yeah.
fun place. We got Discord, we got all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
So check it
Yeah,
out.
and speaking of Patreon, we always thank our beautiful Grim VIPs and up on Patreon every single episode. So yeah, Dina's gonna read those out for us right now.
A big thank you to Atlantean Jedi, Bob, Brian, Hillary, Judy, Kevinus Musicus, Nova, Lisa, Mayhem Mudkip, and of course, Steven
Thank you,
Centauri.
thank you. You guys are the Titty City. You are amazing. And thank you to everybody else that supports us across the board. Y'all are
We
wonderful.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
You know, we've been doing this for a while. I saw a post from a year ago that was like, we have 75 episodes through the platforms. We have over 150 now. It's a freaking
Craziness. Yeah,
library.
we're up to like, well, I think next extra credit will be 35.
Yes.
And what is this one now?
119. So
Ooh,
35 and 120. We got some good numbers there.
nice, nice. So yeah, you should go listen to some.
Yeah, if you're running out of episodes to listen to, just start over. See how we've
Yeah,
evolved.
absolutely. Even,
Yeah,
you know what? It's so some people might think it's weird, but you said this to me the other day. I do it from time to time too. I do listen to our episodes once in a
I
while
do too.
because I like to see how much we've grown
Hmm.
and how maybe like our style has changed. And also, we've talked about this before, but like Dean and I became friends because of this.
Yeah.
So also we've become better friends over the course of the last like nearly 3 years too.
Dude,
So
episode 1, I didn't know you.
no, absolutely not.
Like,
No, we were
we,
just two people like
yeah.
throwing it out there.
We met for the first time when we were discussing, like, we sat down and we're like, should
Yeah.
we start podcast together? You want to
Yeah,
do this?
literally.
And that was the first time we met in person.
Yeah.
You were just an Instagram acquaintance. Now look at us.
Yeah. Look at us now. Who'd have thought?
Right. All right. You got anything else for us?
I don't think so. I think we can wrap her up.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you all so much for listening. This has been The Grim Curriculum.
Did you know you are born with all the teeth that you will ever have in your entire life?
That heaves my jeebs.
Yeah, if you've ever seen an x-ray of a baby's skull,
Oh,
it's pretty freaky. I
so
recommend checking it
gross.
out.
Yeah, it's weird.
Bye.
Let's go for dinner.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.